Going up rural suburb of Dallas to west side of Chicago in the 80s, it's contrast. I hadn't in my remembrance, I hadn't been around that many Black people. So that was a change, being around a lot of Black people. Being only image of Chicago that I knew was good times. So like there was a sort of like a fear that something was gonna happen to me just because I was in Chicago. And then you see the news and then you see things like living in the community. So there was a fear. And then coming from a different community, like I got picked on, so I had to fight a lot. When I was sentenced, the truth in sentence had just passed a few years after. So now when people are sentenced, they have to do 85% of their time, 85 to 100% of their time. But when I was sentenced, you did 50% of your time. So I was sentenced to 25 years. And so I was supposed to do 12 and a half, but I got 6 months for good time, for good behavior. And yeah, while I was away, I did several things to get me where I am now. I stayed in school the whole time. When I was there, the leader of the gang that I was affiliated with pulled me aside and told me, "Hey, I wish I could be you in your position." I didn't understand. He explained that I had opportunity that he didn't have. He had to govern men, and I was 22 at the time. He said, "Man, you had a whole life in front of you. Stay in school while you're locked up, and at least when you get home," like this rationale that he told me when I think about it, he said, "When you get home, you don't have to tell people you were locked up. You could tell them you were away at school." So the next day when I woke up, I had a pass, and the officer came, picked me up, and took me to the library. And that was when I read a pivotal book in my life, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by Stephen Covey. And like from then on, I just had been on a quest. My whole sentence, majority of my sentence, I was in school. So I completed 2 degrees, 4 trades, learned Spanish, journaled for 11 of the 12 years, taught myself how to write with my left hand, started pre-GED courses for people, just did a bunch of stuff that really like helped me develop and like hone my skills. So when I did come home, I was able to navigate a lot of things that came up for me and be able to become a mentor for people in my community where I committed my crime. I think that the church can be, from examples that I've seen, it's an organization called Bridge to Divide. They work with people who are incarcerated prior to them coming home. And then when they do come home, they provide them housing. There's just certain baseline things that people need when they come home. Housing, a lot of people commit crimes in their community and then they have to parole to the community. I don't know if you know this, but Austin, the west side of Chicago, has the highest volume of parolees, returning citizens to the community, and then they have to parole to the community that they committed their crime in. So that's a difficult situation to be in when you have to come to the community where you committed your crime or someone you may have done harm to, and then their family or whatever the case may be, whatever the situation is. But it's difficult coming back to the community that breeded the person who may have or may not have committed the crime. The housing piece is huge. Those are basic things that you need. Housing. So when people come home and they don't have anywhere to parole to, sometimes they won't even release them. That's really, really a big piece. And then employment, or not necessarily employment, not even necessarily employment. A business incubator, because when you have a class X in your background or a felony on your background, for me and a lot of other people that I know, the best route is to start your own business. For instance, when I had issues finding housing, Um, my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but like she like she was sharing earlier, like some things that with me hurt her more than they hurt me. Me is just standard operating procedure, the way I'm treated. But for her, she takes it really personal. So at that time, she was like, "We'll never have to go through this again. We'll just start buying property." So we put together a plan, and that's what we started to do. And we, in particular, house people. And we ask people their background, but we also let them know that, like, because you've been incarcerated doesn't mean you won't get housing. And we house people who have been incarcerated who wouldn't have normally gotten housing. So we do things like that, and I think that's something that people need to know. People are prevented from getting fundamental things such as housing. I think living a life of service in everything that you do. If you look at my family, my siblings, my wife, the lines of work that we're all doing in our real estate business, it's a life of service and helping particular Black people home ownership and purchase property and real estate. As we have mental health. That's the service industry. My wife worked as an auditor for the state. That's serving. She as well as a therapist, so that's service. She's a consultant. Several things that she does, all about service. Same with me. Everything I do is about service. So I feel like that's the way we're doing it. I think that's definitely a way that other people can do it as well. But you just have to find out where God wants you to be, and I think that's the best way to go about it. I think everybody has a different route, but Jesus, like, he did all of the above. And he paid the ultimate price by sacrificing his life for a cause.